Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, my name is Angel and today I'll be sharing with you some more simple DIYs. As always, if you enjoy this video, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel and click that little notification bell so that you won't miss out on any of my future videos.
For this first project, we're just going to be using some of Dollar Tree's yarn and then also some of Dollar Tree's larger dowel rods and some of their smaller ones. I'm just going to put these together with some hot glue and make triangle shapes. This is the smaller one, and then with the larger one, I'll be using 2 large dowel rods and 1 small one for the bottom part. Once I have my triangle shapes made, I'm just going to take 1 more of those dowel rods and hot glue it just to the bottom center. Here I'm just making that larger one, and you can see that I used 2 of the large dowel rods on the side and then 1 of the smaller ones at the bottom. Then I'm just going to take 1 more of those large dowel rods and hot glue it to the bottom center. And I know it's hard to see because the sun was glaring on me as I was trying to make this, but I'm just going to take some of that yarn and I'm going to hot glue it there at the bottom, and then we're going to start wrapping this to make a little Christmas tree. Now, when I started this first one using the white yarn, I was putting my yarn all the way through this Christmas tree, and you'll see here, you don't actually have to do that because I could have just wrapped it around the top, and when I do the little green one, you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. So I'm just going to fast forward through this one so that you can see how I do the green one, because again, you don't have to shove your yarn through these dowel rods. But these trees are very easy to make. All you have to do is just weave the yarn through the dowel rods and it will make a pretty little pattern for your Christmas trees. And again, I know, I'm so sorry, it's hard to see because the sun was glaring and I did not notice it until I started editing. But once I got to the top of the tree, you're just going to add some hot glue and kind of weave it through again and just keep gluing it so that it will stick. And you'll be able to see it better when I'm doing the green one, but once I got to the top, I just kind of wrapped it around and then hot glued it to the back. So for the bottom of the tree, I just took some of that yarn and I cut, I think 12 pieces for the big one, and I'm going to loop those around and dangle them at the bottom to make some tassels. And here I'm making my green one now for the smaller one. And you're going to be able to see it much better. Again, I'm so sorry about the sunlight kind of blocking being able to see it. But you can see here, all you have to do is kind of go over the top of that middle one to wrap it around. And you don't have to push your yarn through the little dowel rods. Then, of course, when I got to the top, I just hot glued that to the back again and added more tassels to the bottom of this one as well. Now, to make a stand for these little trees, I'm just using this little piece of wood that I got from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to hot glue my trees to that. You could definitely stain these little pieces of wood or the dowel rods. I chose to keep mine the natural wood because these are the colors that I am planning on using for my Christmas decorations. And here's a final look at how my little yarn Christmas trees turned out. For this next project, we'll be using some of these bottle brush trees that I picked up at Dollar Tree. These are the large ones, and also some of these tea light candle holders that I also picked up at Dollar Tree. They also have these little houses in red, but I went ahead and picked up 2 of these metal ones and 1 green one. so that I could make it match my colors. I'm also going to be using this little wood plank from Dollar Tree as well. Again, to match my colors, I'm just going ahead and using my white chalk paint to paint one of the metal ones. You can, of course, leave these because they are beautiful as they are, or you could paint these the colors to match your decorations for this Christmas. While that was drying, I went ahead and took some of Dollar Tree's wood glue and glued down my bottle brush trees to my little wood plank. Now I also decided to add a little bit of white to my greenhouse, and then I'm just going to glue these down. I'm using some of Dollar Tree's gel super glue and also some hot glue just to keep these in place. And here's a look at how it turned out. I think this is very adorable and it was super easy to make. For this next project, we'll just be using 2 of these Dollar Tree wood crates. And as you can see here in this video, I was gonna use my DIY 3D craft kits, but they just didn't fit correctly, so I ended up using something else, and you'll see that later in the video. I'm also going to be using some of this cardstock. You can, of course, just paint the inside of your boxes. And again, if you wanted to, you could stain these wood boxes as well. But to go with my decorations, I'm just going to leave them the natural wood. So the first thing I did was just trace out my boxes on my cardstock, and then I cut those out. And I'm just going to be using a glue stick to put these cardstocks into the boxes. Then I'm just going to take some of my wood glue and glue these 2 boxes together. If you have some of Dollar Tree's clamps, I recommend using them. They are amazing. So you can decorate your boxes any way you'd like. I, of course, decided to use this Farm Fresh sign that I actually got from some of my autumn decorations from Dollar Tree, and then some of their tiny little bottle brush trees that they have out right now. Again, there's so many ways that you could decorate these little boxes to make them your own and make them match your decorations for Christmas, your color scheme, and it would be so adorable. I did end up adding the Xmas little sign from that 3D DIY kit, and here's how it turned out. For this next project, we're going to be making some gingerbread houses with these little wood houses that I picked up at Dollar Tree. I also picked up these little white houses that had the happiness is you. They had like some little felt flowers on the bottom that I had to scrape off and kind of sand down a little bit. But if you can't find the regular wood houses, you could just use these as well. So of course, the first thing I needed to do was paint over these little signs, and I'm just using my white chalk paint to paint over these, and then for one of these I'm going to change the color later. For the regular wood houses, I just wanted to make them a little darker, so I am using this light brown paint from Apple Barrel, and I just watered it down to give it a kind of light stain. Then here I'm just patting it with a paper towel to take some of the excess off of it. For one of the ones that I painted, I decided to take my celery chalk paint and paint one of those houses just to match the colors that I'm going for this Christmas. Then once everything was dry, then it comes the fun part of decorating these gingerbread houses. I honestly just looked up some photos on Google of gingerbread houses and just kind of went with it, making different designs on each one of these. Then to fill them in, I'm just again using my white Waverly chalk paint. And I'm going to start painting on their little roofs and some windows and some doors and then a few little accents on these houses. For my white house, I'm just using that same color that I used to stain my natural wood in the color Territorial Beige, and that's from Apple Barrel. These were so fun to make, and of course, if you do make them, you can design them any way you want and choose your own colors that you will be using for this Christmas as well. And here is how my little gingerbread houses turned out. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time.